Welcome to Across the Aisle. I'm Gail Garbrandt, and I want to thank you for joining us. Tonight we will be talking to the candidates for the mayor's seat in Dover, Ohio. I'd like to also welcome back my guest, John Elsässer, who will be interviewing the incumbent mayor of Dover, Richard Homerkhausen, and then I will be interviewing the challenger, Robert Everett. So thanks again for tuning in, and stay tuned, and we'll get started on our interviews for the race for Dover Mayor on Across the Aisle.
Hi, I'm TV2 Sports Talk's Bill Morgan. Some people are outstanding at playing sports, and then there's me. While we at TV2 Sports Talk may have never been All-State on the field, we are Tuscarawas County's MVP when it comes to local television sports talk and play-by-play. Catch TV2 Sports Talk Wednesday nights at 7 and Friday afternoons at 5 on DMG Channel 2.
Myers & Miller Podiatry provides complete foot and ankle care to patients of all ages. The practice was established in 2000 by Dr. Adam Myers and has grown to include Dr. Andy Miller in 2007, Dr. Jason Bakich in 2010, and most recently Dr. Kristen Henry in 2015. Our core values of respect and honesty are the basis for how we manage our practice, and we continue to grow by building relationships with our patients in order to better serve their needs. Myers & Miller Podiatry serves Tuscarawas and Holmes counties with offices in Dover, Sugar Creek, Newcomerstown, Millersburg, and our newest location in Yorksville. Let's get started with building our relationship.
Welcome back to Across the Aisle. I'm John Elsässer, the Republican member of Gail and me on this program. And with me is the mayor of Dover, Rick Homerkhausen.
Hi, John.
Hi, Rick. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about, or Mayor, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your background, but I have to say that I know Rick because we went to the same high school, and his father was my minister who baptized me, confirmed me, married me, and was a great person in my life, and so anyway, and I know he also was from Dover and played on that famous Dover basketball team. So Rick, tell us a little bit about your background that I haven't told.
Well, my dad, as you mentioned, was a member of the 32-33 state basketball championship team in Dover. He grew up and was reared in Dover. Was a pastor in Canton at Zion Lutheran for over 50 years.
Also in Stone Creek, I think, sometime in his life.
Well, after he retired, he did supply at Stone Creek and various churches in northeastern Ohio. I was raised and reared in Canton, went to Canton Lincoln, graduated from Lincoln, and then later graduated from Northland College in Ashland, Wisconsin with a degree in business administration and economics and a degree in English. And then went to Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science where I graduated from there. Worked for Reed Funeral Home in Canton for a total of 11 years, the last 4 as a licensed funeral director and embalmer. Moved to Dover in 1977, opened the Homerkhausen Funeral Home in 1978. And we operated that until January 1st of 2005. In 1989, I was elected as Ward 1 councilman in the city of Dover, and then in 1991 was elected mayor of the city of Dover.
Good, okay, great. So why are you running again for this position, I guess I'll ask you?
Well, I think I still have a lot of things to offer for the city of Dover. I love what I'm doing. I love the interaction between the business and industry and the community and the city of Dover. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with our employees. We work as a team. We're in the midst of contract negotiations with ASME, and I'm the lead negotiator for that. That comes around every 3 years. Then we have police, then we have fire. So I'm involved in all of those aspects. But, you know, my proven track record of bringing business and industry to the community of Dover and working with our current business and industry to see that their needs are met. I've worked with Allied Machine and Engineering with their $31 million expansion program. Worked with countless other businesses. Helped with Novogradac and Company moving to their new headquarters that they just broke ground with at the north end of town. So I'm overly active with all the business and industry in the community, and yet operating a $62 million enterprise fund that is known as the City of Dover.
And of course, you're also pretty passionate about the power plant, I believe.
Oh yes, I lead the charge for the Dover Power Plant as one of Dover's greatest assets. I've testified before Congress 5 times, 4 times before the U.S. Senate, 1 time before the House, all on issues relating to public power. In 2005, I was recognized as the top public power official, elected official in the country. That's of over 2,000 public power communities in the country. We're very active in state and federal legislative issues regarding public power. Was just last week re-elected to my 17th term as president of the Ohio Municipal Electric Association, which is totally unprecedented. And we enjoy what we're doing and like to move the city of Dover forward.
Good. I guess I'm not from Dover, but what I see of it, it seems to be a pretty balanced town politically. It's not overwhelmingly Democrat or overwhelmingly Republican. And you've worked, I think, with councils that are both Republican majority, mostly Democrat majority over your tenure?
It's never been Republican majority.
Okay.
Right now it's evenly split, but the majority of the time they were Democratic councils with one Republican or 2 Republicans. But I have the ability to work across the aisle and get things done for the betterment of the city of Dover.
Right. Good. Okay. And I know you've worked with a number of folks on your staff that aren't necessarily Republican either, right?
No, I mean, I appoint or hire individuals that I know that can do the job, not because of their party affiliation. It doesn't matter to me if they're a Republican or a Democrat. If I know that they can do the job, then I know that we're going to get along fine.
Right. Yeah, as Gail and I talked about in our first show that I was involved with, which is just about the parties, it seems to me is the closer you get to the ground in terms of politics, away from the national level, the issue of party is pretty insignificant. I don't think the street necessarily knows that it was paved by a Republican or a Democrat, I guess.
No,
So,
and nobody cares.
right, yeah. So what do you see as the most critical issue facing Dover in your next term?
Well, I think one of the most critical issues over the next 4 years is how Dover is able to react and respond to the influx of new jobs and new industry into the city. Are we going to be able to provide them the goods and services, the utilities, the support system that they need? We're already extending utilities to where Novogradac's new headquarters will be. We've already gone out of our way and will be extending utilities to the site where Price Gregory will be locating their headquarters and bringing 400 jobs to the community. I think one of the problems that might be created, how do we deal with the influx of the employees, and how are we able to service them? And at
I guess
the
that's a
same
good
time,
problem to have, right?
yeah, it's a great problem to have. And at the same time, we need to ensure that we're still providing the necessary services that the business industry and the residents of Dover have come to rely on and expect. and they rightly so should expect them. And we're very good at providing goods and services and utilities and everything. I mean, we had a great paving program this year that was planned for over 2 years. So we're doing our job, making sure that everybody is served and everybody is served well.
Yeah, as I said, I don't live in Dover, but I certainly think it seems to be a pretty vibrant community on all counts. So I guess you've kind of told us that, but how would you summarize why the voters should re-elect you?
Well, I think one of the key things is, who are you going to trust? Are you going to trust someone that says they're here for the betterment of the community, that has never owned a business, has never written a paycheck, has never had to hire or fire somebody, never had to discipline somebody, that says they're here for the betterment of the community, and yet after they retired from the Dover Police Department, immediately moved to Nevada? You know, the people of Dover know who I am. They know what I'm about. I'm about setting goals, making sure that we follow through with our commitments, working with business and industry and residents alike, and making sure that things are done for the betterment of the community. I have the proven track record. We've brought in over $850,000 in grant funds this year for the establishment of a Canal Dover Park and the construction of a new public boat ramp, and additionally another $33,000 for the development of a master plan for the Dover downtown area, where we will replace the sidewalks, the trees, the plantings, put in proper trees for a downtown area, and also create a corridor from the downtown to the new Dover Canal Park.
Good, great. Well, that sounds very exciting. You've got me convinced, even though I can't vote for you, so sorry about that. But again, very much enjoyed talking to you and hearing about your plans for Dover.
Pleasure to be with you, John.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you call 2 Big Mac sandwiches, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 world-famous fries, and a 10-piece tender, juicy Chicken McNuggets? We call it the Mickey D's Dinner Box. You can call it Family Dinner-tastic.
WJER and TV2 would like to introduce you to a new website, WJERTV2.com, where you can watch exciting high school football, soccer, and volleyball replays from TV2 Sports on your home computer, smartphone, or tablet. Also watch the latest episodes of TV2's original programming, Sports Talk, The Garden Girl, The Not So Shy Chef, Off the Record, and Medical Minutes, as well as catch up on local community news and search for local businesses. So make sure to check out the new WJERTV2.com community website, where everything's local.
Welcome back to Across the Aisle. With us today is Robert W. Everett, who is a candidate for the mayor of the city of Dover. So, Robert, thanks so much for taking time to spend with us.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for the invitation. I certainly appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you're very welcome. And, you know, one of the reasons that we're doing this show is to make sure that people have information so they can make more informed voting choices. And so Robert will be on the ballot in November. And why don't you start out and tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. Well, first off, thank you for having me here today and being a part of this program. I've heard great things, and let's hope that it takes off and continues for a long, long, long time. But thanks again. Well, most of the citizens that have resided in Dover for quite some time know me. I was born and raised in Dover. I lived by Dover High School and the Dover Public Library, and I was raised by my mother, and I had 3 sisters. We lost our father. I was a very young age. I was only 3 years old when he passed, but Mother kind of ingrained a lot of things into us as far as hard work and work ethic and doing for others, and I kind of took a hold of that, and After high school, I did attend Hawking College in Nelsonville, and I garnered an associate degree in law enforcement. I had my sights set on the police department and law enforcement from a very young age. I frankly started down there at 15 years old, washing cars for nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had a former police chief by the name of Jack Griffin. He's retired, been retired for quite some time. And he gave me an opportunity, and of course I went in and asked, and he granted the opportunity. And before long, I became a fixture at the police department, and it turned out from a volunteer mission to a paid mission, and started out as a civilian dispatcher. So I kind of learned my way around the office there as a dispatcher. And shortly after that, we had a retirement due to attrition, and I became a patrolman, and then after that, obviously a captain, and I retired in 2006 at the rank of captain. Obviously, I love public service. I have the desire to serve. I always have. Police work was not where it ended by any stretch. While I was a police officer, at 24 years of age, I ran for the Dover Board of Education, and I was frankly very thankful and very excited. I had been going to the grade schools with another officer, and we had started some safety programs, again, under Chief Griffin. He allowed us and gave us the opportunity to do that. And the programs grew and grew. And my thought process was, if I can do these things as a police officer, why in the world don't I get more involved in the lives of the children, the students, and try to make life better for them as they come out into the world? And part of what I decided to do, very, very abnormal, I should say, at 24 years old, to run for the Board of Education. But I did that. I ran against two incumbents, and frankly, I was, again, thankful because I was able to be elected by a very large majority, of which I am thankful. That's not ego talking. That's a very humble and very thankful person that the residents of the Dover School District gave me the opportunity. So I served 8 years on the board. I only ran twice, once obviously originally, and then re-election. And I wrapped up my 8 years on the board, and I then went to the Dover Philly Federal Credit Union, and I became a board member there for 9 years, which is 3 terms. And obviously, I could have chosen to keep on going, and I decided not to. So I've been very involved in our community, very involved in public service, and it's one of my loves, if you will, and I would like to continue on in public service and serve the citizens in a different capacity.
Okay, well, that sounds really interesting.
Thank you.
I went to school with your sister, Lynette,
Yes.
so I know, small town, right?
It is, it is.
So why don't you take a few minutes to tell the voters today why you've made this decision to run for public office. You know, it's not an easy thing.
No.
It's much more complicated than most people would realize. It involves a tremendous amount of time, and you do have to raise money. And I know most people, when they first get involved in this process, that's the part they find most distasteful. So go ahead and tell us, why are you going to run for mayor of Dover, Ohio?
Well, you really hit everything right on the head and exactly right. It is very difficult. And why am I doing this? Again, I love public service. For the past 3.5 years, I've been the director of security at Mercy Medical Center in Canton. It's not that I dislike that. I truthfully miss my public service. I miss my ability to serve our citizens, our hometown, and be able to try to accomplish things that make life better for them. I'm a firm believer that every so often, either in government, either school functions, etc., church, wherever it may be, it never hurts to have a fresh set of eyes and a new look at things, a different approach. Perhaps, excuse me, perhaps the same old way of doing business is just that. We're stuck in a status quo. Of course, there's new programs that might come along and grants. That's fine. But I see nothing wrong with a person that has the ambition and the dedication to try and run for public office and seek public office, because that is exactly what they like, is public service. So the main reason that I chose to run was because of my love for public service and the fact that I want to try to make life better than I think it is now, and try to make things a little bit better for our citizens.
Okay. Can you think of any pressing issue that you think is going to bring voters out in your race? Is there a problem that's paramount in the minds of voters in Dover, Ohio. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I don't know that we have any one single big issue that we could both discuss and debate back and forth, at least with the city. I know that one of the goals I have is, as I was as a police officer for all those years, accessibility, and the ability for folks to know that they can find me, they can walk in the office and find me. Very accessible wherever I am. I've always been, again, with that police background. You couldn't walk away from folks and just tell them you didn't want to talk to them. So I think the accessibility factor and the factor that I want to bring back someone who can relate to them from all walks of life. I've sat in the homes of many, many people that live in Dover and tried to help solve their problems. Again, I want to try to do that on a larger scale and try to be a part of solving problems, not only for one or two, but the entire community. So as far as a number one key issue, obviously funding, since local governments have been cut.
Sure.
We need to maintain our position in the black. We need to maintain, and I think our department heads and our supervisors do a great job of doing that. They watch their budgets very closely, and I monitor, obviously, what's going on in the city, even though I am not currently there. And I think our department heads do a fantastic job of monitoring their budgets and making sure that they stay on track. And I feel as though I would be the guy that is the overseer and make sure I steer the vessel and attempt to go out and do different things that bring business into our community, and try to find business and residents that want to move in and be a part of our community. But I think all in all, the greatest trait that I have is the ability to speak to people directly, be able to relate to them through all my years of helping them and solving their problems and being there for them when they need it. So pretty much public service, again, we must hit on that, and the fact that I thoroughly enjoy it, and I just want to serve our folks in a different capacity.
Well, thank you very much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again, I'm sure.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Thanks for the opportunity.